Now it's time to analyze all the ops in the National Football League. Now I'm going to take a look at every single team in the league, but we're going to do this quickly though. This ain't going to be no long drawn out thing. And every preseason before the season starts, I like to have different categories of different teams. So just follow me. For example, I'm just going to get this one out of the way. We have Super Bowl contenders. Simple and easy. Chiefs, Eagles, Ravens, Bills, Commanders, Rams. I think all of those teams are self-explanatory. I think the Commanders are a really, really, really interesting team this year. Jaden Daniels, people are questioning if he's legit under Cliff Kingsbury's offense. They added Debo Samuel, but now they got Terry McLaurin in a contract dispute, and is rumors about Washington actually maybe trading him for Tyreek Hill. Yikes. Tyreek Hill, Debo Samuel in that offense. Brian Robinson, running back. Jaden Daniels at quarterback. That is a scary ass offense. If even with Terry McLaurin or Tyreek Hill, you put either or in there. So, but I'm really, really interested to see if the Commanders can take that next step and possibly be in the Super Bowl, man. All the other teams I feel like self-explanatory. The Rams, next interesting team I have in that is the Rams with the addition of Devontae Adams. Look, man, if Matthew Stafford, he already having back issues. He's like week to week right now. That is not good. But if the Rams can have a consistent and healthy Matthew Stafford, man, look. First off, I need to thank Puka Nacua publicly for single-handedly winning me a fantasy football championship last year. He was such a monster, especially when he got healthy in the middle towards the end of last season. He was a monster. So you're teaming him up with Devontae Adams with the healthy Matthew Stafford, and that's a big if right now, if he's healthy. I love their running back Williams. He is a monster. I love what the Rams are doing. Their defense is full of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, by the way. They might have one of the best defensive lines in the league. So that's why I put the Rams in that Super Bowl contenders list. The other ones, Chiefs, Eagles, Ravens, Bills. You already know what the story is with those teams. Next subject. Dangerous with a chance. Got 4 teams. 2 from the AFC West. You probably know who those are. Vikings, Buccaneers, Broncos, Chargers. I feel like all of these teams, I'll get to the Vikings in a second because I think they're the outlier if there is a team that's an outlier in this. But I think that the Broncos, Chargers, and Buccaneers are all poised for big seasons, and they're like on the cusp of being a Super Bowl contender. I just don't believe in any of those teams all the way. There's questions with the Chargers on that offense to me. I think the offensive line is good. The running game is going to be there. It's going to be a Jim Harbaugh offense, but they can never get it done when it really counts. They're always going to have a good, solid, fundamental-led, tough defense with Jim Harbaugh. Broncos, kind of the same thing. I think more of the question mark with them is like, is Bo Nix legit? Can he take it up another level? But they have, and the Broncos defense is going to be strong. It's going to be one of the better ones in the league, as they kind of were last year. And Sean Payton ain't no joke, man. He's one of the best coaches in the league, top 5 for sure, in my opinion. So, and he's the one that's been guiding Bo Nix. As Bo Nix was in with any other coach in any other situation, he wouldn't have done as well as he did last year. His numbers and Jaden Daniels' numbers were comparable. They were extremely similar. So that's what I like about those two teams. Buccaneers, I really wanted to put them in the Super Bowl contenders list, but I got to see it first. And I don't believe in them all the way to be bona fide. Like, can the Buccaneers go against the Eagles? They did beat them in the playoffs a couple years ago. But can in this year, can Baker Mayfield go into Philadelphia? Could he win a game at the Eagles? I don't know, though. I have my doubts about that. But I feel like the Buccaneers are definitely on the cusp of being a Super Bowl contender. Now, I know y'all out here talking about, Brian, what the hell are you talking about with the Minnesota Vikings? New quarterback, defense, last year it was, this year it's going to be good. I think the Vikings are going to be better than the Lions this year. Matter of fact, I think the Vikings got a strong chance of winning the NFC North. And yes, it's all dependent upon J.J. McCarthy. But in a way, I think it's all on Kevin O'Connell, the head coach, because it's been a couple different quarterbacks that we've seen under Kevin O'Connell, and they look good under his tutelage. We've seen Kirk Cousins look good with him. Last year, you saw Sam Darnold look good, winning 14 games last year with the Minnesota Vikings. Now, are they going to win 14 games again this year? No, that ain't happening again this year. Not with the schedule that they have, because they're playing the AFC North, I believe. So, but I still, the defense is going to be better with Brian Flores, and I think that J.J. McCarthy is going to do things that Sam Darnold may not be able to do last year. I feel like Minnesota has done a great job with surrounding J.J. McCarthy with weapons. You got the best wide receiver in the league with Justin Jefferson. You can talk to me and till you blue in the face about Jamar Chase. He's great, but I'll take J.J. all day over Jamar Chase. You got T.J. Hockenson at tight end, Jordan Addison at the other receiver spot. You got a strong offensive cast surrounding J.J. McCarthy. And with Kevin O'Connell calling plays, I think the Vikings are a strong playoff contender in the NFC. Moving on to the next subject, one of my favorites every year, teams that will fall off. I got two teams. One, Houston Texans and the Detroit Lions. With Houston, I don't think that C.J. Stroud is what everybody is saying that he is. I think the bar is going to be too high for him. And they have offensive line questions. They got rid of Laramie Tunsil, sent him to Washington, who was at one time considered one of the better tackles in the league. Now, I don't know, what happened to him since, that was just about 4 or 5 years ago that people were saying that about Laramie Tunsil. So I think this offensive line is going to be an issue for Houston. And I think their division has gotten a little better. The Jaguars are going to be no joke. I think the Jaguars are going to win about 10, 11 games this year. They're going to shock some people. The Colts are going to be the Colts, depending on who's quarterback for them. Just a nice, solid, middle-of-the-road team that Houston is going to have to deal with, though. And in Tennessee, we don't know what we're going to see with Tennessee with Cam Ward, but that division is better. The AFC as a whole is better. And people are already trying to crown the Houston Texans. They wanted to play a first-place schedule. I think the expectation is going to be too high, and I think that people are underrating that division at the end. But I think it's going to be tougher to get out of that division, winning it. So, and then the Detroit Lions, look, I think time is up for them. Last year was their shot to really do something and go to the Super Bowl. I see a regression from Jared Goff coming. I think that they have great weapons, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson Williams, but, they got contracts coming up soon. I think that, of course, the loss of Ben Johnson is going to be a big issue for this team. And I just see a regression coming from them, along with a tougher schedule. The NFC North is better. They're definitely not winning the amount of games they won last year, which I think is like 13 or 14 games last year. I just think that the expectations with Detroit and the media and the fans and everybody surrounding them is going to be too much for how much that they lost in the offseason. Next category is teams set to improve. 49ers, Titans, Panthers, Patriots, Jaguars, Jets, and the Raiders.
Damn.
All of these teams should be at least 2 to 3 wins better than they were last year. And I think that all of these teams have a lot of positive momentum going into this season. And there's a lot of uncertainty, though, that you see with a lot of these teams. Every single one, you see a lot of uncertainty. The 49ers, they had a lot of injuries last year. But now, they paid Brock Purdy. Can he carry the load? What are they going to do without Deebo Samuel now? But they have Robert Saleh coming back on the defensive side. They lost a lot of players on that side as well. So it's so many unknowns with the 49ers. But I would be betting the farm on them definitely improving A lot of people had the 49ers as being like a borderline Super Bowl contender, definitely a playoff contender. Plus they're not playing the first place schedule. I think they're playing the last place schedule, which is really going to add to that win total coming up this year. The Tennessee Titans, they can't do nothing but improve from last year. They were awful. They were terrible. But I'm going to keep a close eye on the Tennessee Titans because former front office person for the Chiefs, Mike Borgonzi, he's now the GM over there. He's getting his Brett Veach on. And he chose to take Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick this year. And there's a lot of things that we don't know about him and how this offense is going to be conducted coming up this season. So, but I think the Titans though, I think the floor is so low that they can't do anything but improve from where they were last year. The Carolina Panthers, it's not a lot to look at with them, but it's kind of the same thing with the Titans. Like the floor was so low that they can't do anything but improve. But you saw it at the end of the season, though. They gave the Chiefs some smoke. They took the Chiefs into overtime at Carolina. So they were starting to play well towards the end of the season. Bryce Young, you saw him improve last year. So I'll be interested to see how the Panthers actually shake out in that NFC South. The New England Patriots, they got Mike Vrabel up in there now. Saw some positive things from Drake May last year. But I think, kind of the same thing. They have a lot of positive momentum. They added some key additions. And then, it's a culture change coming up in New England. Again. Yeah, of course, again. It's kind of the same Bill Belichick blood, but Mike Vrabel kind of has his own way of doing things, as you saw him do in Tennessee. But it's of that New England Patriot style, just the Mike Vrabel way, which I think was a great hire for the Patriots. The Jaguars, Travis Hunter is going to add a lot of excitement to that team. And I think he already has. I think he's already added a lot of excitement to that fan base. It's kind of the same thing with the Panthers and the Titans. The bar was a little low, and we'll get into that with the Jets too, getting rid of Aaron Rodgers. But the Jaguars have a lot of young, exciting players. And then you look at the New York Jets. I love the hire of Aaron Glenn. I think he's going to bring a little bit of that, Detroit Lions. Of course, New York, New Jersey, whatever, they got their own brand of toughness. But when was the last time the Jets were tough? Under Rex Ryan, when they had an attitude of, I'm not taking no shit from nobody. It's kind of like those Rex Ryan days. I think the Jets are going to be extremely scrappy this year. I can't wait to see what they look like with Justin Fields, young, exciting, fast. Maybe a lot of inexperience. Maybe I can see the Jets doing a lot of trick plays this year. I think the Jets are going to be exciting to watch. And then you got the Raiders, probably the most improved team, from the rooter to the tutor. Getting Pete Carroll up in there, an experienced winner, an experienced coach who knows how to get it done. Geno Smith is Joe Montana compared to the quarterbacks that Raiders fans have seen over the past couple years. So they hit it in the draft with Ashton Genty. He's going to be a great addition, to that offense. And then Brock Bowers. He's going to be a problem. And with me being a stone cold, Raider hater, it pains me to say this about this organization, but I think they got a lot of things right in the offseason. And they're going to improve a lot. Teams stuck in neutral. The Cowboys, the Colts, Seahawks, Cardinals, and I'm probably going to regret this, but the Green Bay Packers. The Packers I really want to put into the category of dangerous with a chance. But the Packers are so blah. And I thought that Jordan Love took a slight step back last year. So I'm not really knowing what to think of this young man. The wide receiver corps, I knew, they were young and needed a lot of work. And another year in the system will help them a lot, especially with all of those core young guys being together. But I don't know, man. I think the Packers are definitely the best team out of this bunch. But you look at the Cowboys, Colts, Seahawks, and Cardinals, to me, Where did they improve? You know, the Cowboys can never get contracts right, as they have, you know, Micah Parsons out here out on a limb. He don't even want to play with the Cowboys anymore. The Colts, they got Daniel Jones competing at quarterback with Anthony Richardson. Is that enough? No. Not in the AFC. The Seahawks, they got Sam Darnold at quarterback. Did they get worse? I don't know. I like the coaching that the Seahawks have, and I think they're a nice, just solid team. Same thing with the Cardinals. Like, I feel like with those teams, you're really going to have to focus on player development from within, because there just weren't a lot of additions with any of these teams. So, but this could go either way though. I could really be wrong with some of these teams, and I got a feeling I'm gonna be wrong about the Packers being stuck in neutral. I think they're gonna be a contender, or you know, I could really be right.
Shut up, Brian.
Next category is teams set to disappoint. Another one of my favorite ones. And to me, the Steelers are just the poster child for this one particularly. You got the Bears in there. I put the Falcons in there as well as the Bengals. And the Bengals, I kind of hit on it earlier when I think that they're going to be a repeat of the 2002 Chiefs. Meaning every game is going to be 43-42. Because their defense is going to suffer so bad. Not only is your first round pick just late to the party with everything, because he just signed his contract a couple weeks ago, but one of your star defensive ends, he's having contract issues. You lose your defensive coordinator. You lost your other defensive end last year to retirement. The defense just got completely worse, and they were terrible last year. So the cheap ass Bengals, I just think they're going to disappoint everybody. Again, I'm predicting 9-8 or 10-7 for them, and people have them almost in like this a semi Super Bowl bubble. Like, are you kidding me? With what defense, man? You gonna be do whatever you want to do with that Bengals defense. The Chicago Bears, look, man, I thought Caleb Williams was gonna be a threat to Patrick Mahomes, title of being the best quarterback in the league. I don't know. I'm starting to have my doubts about Caleb Williams a little bit. I know it's just preseason, it's just off season, but it's just certain little things that you see or don't want to see from certain players. Like, there's this video of him in practice halfway throwing a temper tantrum. It's like, bro, come on. There's cameras everywhere out here. You know this. So it's like, if you're acting like that right there in practice on the field, it's like that doesn't equate to good leadership to me, in my opinion. And as being a quarterback of your team, and Ben Johnson coming there with his new offense and trying to learn that, trying to develop under another system, it's gonna be tough for Caleb Williams. And I just don't see the Bears, along with their schedule, along with them being in the NFC North, one of the toughest divisions in football, I don't see them being successful. Atlanta Falcons, do they have the right weapons around Michael Penix to really take that next step? Do they have the right coaching around Michael Penix to take that next step? Where's the strength of the Falcons? What that defense looking like? Falcons, I'm seeing 8 or 9, 9-8. Maybe I could be wrong about them. Maybe Michael Penix is, Jaden Daniels. I think there's too many question marks and not enough answers for the Falcons for me to believe that they'll do anything significant this year. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, look, man, Aaron Rodgers is done. He's cooked. I hate to put that on a pro athlete, but for the last 2 years, for the last 3 years, what have we seen from Aaron Rodgers? He's 40. He could be 41 this year, right? Come on, y'all. You think Aaron Rodgers is going to get away from pass rushes in the National Football League now? You can't just stay in the pocket and be who he is now and be successful. I don't see it happening with the Pittsburgh Steelers at all. I see no more than 6-7 wins for them. And then my last category is on the clock for the 2026 NFL Draft. New Orleans Saints, Cleveland Browns, Miami Dolphins, and the New York Giants. I did not want to put the Giants in here. But they in the NFC East. I don't think it's going to be pretty for them Giants. I think Daboll is probably going to be the fall man. He'll probably lose his job after this. I really wanted to put the Giants in another category, probably the team set to improve, because their defense is going to be mean. That New York Giants front seven is nasty, y'all. But it's all on the quarterback situation with Russell Wilson and the rookie that they have coming in. So, I mean, Jameis Winston is in that quarterback room too. But come on, y'all. I don't see it for the Giants. The Dolphins, they didn't already quit before the season started. You can already hear the turmoil in the locker room. Dolphins are cooked. They're gonna break that team up. They're gonna get a new coach, all that next year. The Browns, come on. Self-explanatory. And the Saints, they're taking for Arch Manning coming up next year. They already on the clock. They got the number 1 pick sold up right now.